Hello, Ramley and other NFL family. Payo time here, and I'm joined by none other than the one, the only Ramsoholic. Dude, how stoked are you for this game?
Super stoked, Payo. Happy to be doing a stream with you again on this feels like playoff game
Dude,
for all of our Ramily. We're all
yeah.
excited. I'm ready. I wish it was Thursday already.
Dude, it's going by so slow. It's one of those things. I'm so glad the game's on Thursday, not Sunday, because it's one of those things that every meeting at work is a little bit longer. If you're in school, classes, ticking a little bit slower. If you're just at home and you're eating the meal, all you can think about is this upcoming game. And I'm so excited for it. And isn't it crazy? Like, think of where were the Rams a year ago, right? We were downtrodden cheering on Baker Mayfield at coming up to the Christmas special, as I like to call it. And like it's just such a different mindset of like, hey, we're just trying to play competitive football to we're good. Like the Rams actually got a shot to make the playoffs and maybe make some noise in the playoffs. And I as a fan, you can't not love that, right?
Absolutely. Like last year when we played the Saints, we were 3-7. They were 4-7. Now both teams are 7-7. Injuries, obviously, last year for the Rams played a big part, which I think was the reason for the media downplaying what this team can do, which was a big mistake because we have Matthew Stafford, we have Cooper Kupp, we have Aaron Donald, and we have a top 3 coach in the NFL. So that core alone could make a playoff run any season. So
Yeah.
I never bought into the tank for Caleb.
No, no, like it was, yeah. And looking back, retrospect is always funny, and I'm sure there's a lot of Twitter posts and a lot of takes from people about the Rams that they're like, oh, I was wrong. And I think what's just so exciting about this team is this draft class. Like, there's so many things, but this draft class has really been paying dividends, and you have to credit Les Snead in the front office to making the tough decision to move on from veteran talented players like Jalen Ramsey, Leonard Floyd, Bobby Wagner, and decide, okay, we're going to, get younger, go with the youth movement, and we're going to get cheaper, and we're going to, build this roster, reload. And they've done a phenomenal job. I mean, there's definitely been growing pains. There's been some times this year that the young team inexperience has shown. However, we've seen this team grow up before our very eyes this season, and like, can think of the team now compared to like when we played the Bengals week 3.
Big difference.
Huge,
I,
yeah.
I
So
agree 100%. Like the youth on this team was needed. Leonard Floyd was getting older. Um, we replaced him with Byron Young. Then Jalen Ramsey, that was the biggest loss. But I think the way Akello Witherspoon is playing has been a pretty good exchange. I'm not going to say he's Jalen Ramsey, but I think he's doing his part in shutting down his side of the field.
yeah.
While Darion Kendrick obviously is giving us headaches and inconsistencies week to week.
And I'll even add to that. I think the safety play from Jordan Fuller and Quentin Lake has helped kind of replace that Ramsey production by committee, sort of. And like, love what we've seen out of our safety room.
And John Johnson, like
Yeah,
what
JJ.
happened? He was not playing at first. It was Russ East. I like Russ East. He's a hard hitter. Reminds me of Nick Scott. But John
Yeah,
Johnson is just that veteran guy who gets interceptions and makes big plays for us.
definitely. Yeah. Well, let's talk about this game here. Okay, so we know this is a huge game. This is a Mondo huge game. As an NFL fan, that's what you cheer for. I posted on Twitter earlier today that like I am Avengers Endgame level hyped for this game. Like I was really excited to see that movie. Seeing it opening night. I am more excited for this game. Like this game is just going to be phenomenal. How hyped are you for this game?
Super hyped. Obviously, like there's nights where I'm just thinking about how this could play out. One thing is I like how we're playing Thursday, but these primetime games can get a little nerve-wracking because now I've been personally hyping up this team to all of my friends who don't get to watch the Rams.
Yeah.
So now they're on the big stage, and we need them to play like they played since the bye week. The Seattle game was a little bit of a fluky game. No Kyron Williams though. But with Kyron, we've been rocking, and I am super excited to hopefully our Rams show the rest of the world what we've been seeing these last few weeks.
Well, and on that note with Kyron Williams, like I was thinking about this the other day of like, okay, we got Stafford at quarterback who can sling it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got Kyron Williams in the backfield, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nakua, who together and there was some growing pains, and Kupp was playing injured. He's looking a lot healthier now, but like that's a three-headed Cerberus monster that no defensive coordinator wants to prepare for, right? And what do you think that, like the rest of this year? So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. But if the Rams were to make the playoffs,
Yep.
do you think, given that three-headed monster on offense, that if Stafford gets hot, like this team could make a surprise run?
This is the dark horse team in the NFL. I feel obviously 49ers are playing great, but I feel like the two dark horse teams right now are the Bills and the Rams. Just last year, a lot of people preseason had the Rams and Bills, us going back to the Super Bowl, but we hit an injury bug. The thing with the Rams, I see Caliber saying we're underrated and scary. 100% true. They're going to play loose. The pressure year for us was 2022 when we won the Super Bowl. That's when we were all in. Stafford was a known loser in Detroit. We just traded Goff and picks. So we had to win. Now, this is a retool year. So we're going to be loose. Stafford, the last 4 games, has 12 touchdowns, 1 interception. If he stays hot with a clean pocket, he's the best quarterback in the NFC. Yeah. I'm talking about quarterback, not cast, line, like Purdy has. Quarterback. Give me Stafford any day of the week. He's clutch. Him and Cooper Kupp, as you mentioned, they're starting to get hot again. 2 back-to-back 100-yard games for Kupp. Puka's there. Puka doesn't even care about catching the ball. He just loves to block. He said that was his favorite play this year at 3rd and 20. This team is fun to watch, but also they're probably the only team in the NFC that could beat the 49ers in the playoffs. If you look how Dallas plays against teams with winning records, if you look how the Eagles have played the last few weeks, Detroit, I don't know. We know how Goff is. Is he going to perform in the big moments? Well, if it's the Rams in Detroit, I'm taking the Rams and Stafford in Detroit. So I don't think it's getting too far ahead of ourselves. I think this team has shown us that scoring 30 points on 2 of the best defenses in football, back-to-back weeks, one of them on the road in Baltimore off their bye week. I mean, this team is serious. Look what the Jags did to the Ravens this week. They scored 7 at home. This team is for real. Absolutely.
And let's bring it back to this game. So as I look into this game, we talked about it, beforehand. The Saints have the same mindset that the Rams do right now. It's a must-win game. This is a playoff game, essentially. If you win this game, your likelihood of making the wild card is dramatically better than if you lose it. The Saints can still technically win their division. Rams can't, because just what the Niners are doing, and they congrats to them. They clinched last week the division, just because of the way that the season has kind of played out. But I still think the Rams have a shot of making some noise in this game. I would love this game to be a blowout. I would love it to be a blowout early. I don't think this is that team. I don't think, from what we've seen of this Rams team, they're built to do that right now. I still think it could be a fun, high-scoring game. But as I look into this and look into this Saints team, which is a kind of a wild team, inconsistent. Like some weeks they look really bad, other weeks they look really good. my biggest concern going into this game is Alvin Kamara. I just think that he's a weapon on offense. He's someone that people somehow seem to forget is still in the NFL, unless he's on your fantasy team and he's helping you win some games. But Alvin Kamara, he is my biggest concern coming into this game, especially when he can get to the outside, which the Rams at time this year have struggled to secure that edge. But what are your thoughts on Alvin Kamara and the rest of the Saints offense?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. That is their offense, the central point of their offense. They really don't like to get Carr throwing too many times. That's why in the games that they fall behind, they usually don't come back in. They do well when they can run the ball, contain the clock. But on top of Kamara, a guy last year that actually did good against us that runs, throws, catches is Taysom Hill. I think we really have to be aware when he is in there at quarterback because he could run and then he could throw as he did last year.
Yeah.
Him and Kamara in the goal line formation, them two guys, it's hard to know who's getting the ball. Those two worry me. Chris Olave, if he does play, speedster, second-year guy, did good against us last year. I know it's a new year, but still, I mean, that is a big part of their offense. Jawan Johnson at tight end. And then they have Rashid Shaheed, speedster. So they have weapons. Their offensive line's middle of the pack. Then you have Carr, who is definitely inconsistent. He was inconsistent with the Raiders, and he is now with the Saints. So this offense is not the easiest offense we faced. Definitely not the hardest, but a team that we definitely have to watch out for, especially with Kamara.
Do you think, and again, the Rams early this year struggled to generate turnovers at times. Recently, that's been different. Do you think the Rams defense is going to be able to force Carr to throw some interceptions or maybe, get the ball on the ground and recover a fumble?
I do. I think the Rams are going to make a big effort, as they did against the Ravens, to stop the run. Take away the run and let them beat you through the air. Unfortunately, with the Ravens, a few blown coverages happen, but I don't think Carr is on Lamar's level. He can't bounce out the pocket like Lamar. So we're going to really just put our big guys up front like Jonas Williams, Bobby Brown, bring the dogs for those first, second down, stop the run, and then bring the heat on the third down with Turner and Donald. And I do believe there is going to be an interception or two from Carr in this game. Mm-hmm. A fumble would be nice, strip sack.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I definitely see a turnover or two in this one from Carr.
Definitely. Just going to do a quick couple of shout-outs here. We got some awesome people in the chat. John's here. We got Excalibur here. Grandizers here. Appreciate y'all. Joe's here. Appreciate y'all. I know you guys are just as hyped for this game as we are, and appreciate you joining us on a morning stream here on Wednesday. It's crazy. The thing, tomorrow. The game is tomorrow. I just can't get over this. Oh, man. And I do appreciate that, when on these Thursday night games, sometimes, I think this is a McVay thing, sometimes you're nervous about your team, your star players and stuff. I feel like Donald got rested at times during the Commanders games. I know he was a little dinged up going into it, but he did play. But someone said in my watch party, they were like, I feel like we haven't heard much of Aaron Donald's name today. And do you think that was McVay being like, "Hey, this game is kind of in hand. I'm gonna rest him if I don't have to play him." Do you think that was kind of a factor into it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he had that groin injury heading into the week late. He was added to the injury report late, and yeah, he missed some plays. They kept putting him out on third downs for the pass rush, but yeah, first and second down, he was definitely taking breaks. I think that, the Rams D-line has been much improved this year, especially the way Turner's been playing. But obviously, we need Donald rocking this game more than we did in the Washington game. So I agree with with having Donald limited.
Yeah, and I saw some people asking like any update on, or John here was asking AD's groin injury. from everything that I've seen from McVay's presser yesterday and any things is Donald is good to go for Thursday. And that's bad news if you're the Saints O-line.
Oh yeah.
What about this Saints defense? How do you think the Rams offense is going to attack this Saints unit? I know did you hear, is Lattimore a no-go for them?
Yeah, so Lattimore is not playing, which is big news. And it's weird. The Saints are actually, I think, top 5 in yards allowed through the air.
Okay.
But on the ground, they've allowed the 5th most rush yards. So Kyron Williams last year kind of had his coming out party versus the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
He was used a lot, him and Akers. So I think this could be a Kyron game. Excuse me, but Stafford, man, last year 11 of 18, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns against them with no Cooper Kupp, obviously no Puka.
Right.
I think Stafford, the way he's playing, I think any defense we face, it doesn't matter. I think he's going to have a good game. I could see 3 touchdowns from Stafford, 1 to Kyron through the air, and then maybe Kupp or Tutu again. Or Demarcus Robinson. Like, we're loaded right now.
Man,
we are loaded.
Let's just talk about Demarcus Robinson for a sec here. I remember when the Rams signed him, I remember being like, this is a move I wish the Rams would have made last year, to have depth at the receiver position so that if Kupp or someone gets injured, there's that veteran, proven NFL caliber wide receiver experience in the room. And then I remember him in training camp. There was this little short video that the Rams posted on their YouTube channel that's just like him walking by a camera, and he says, gonna be great today. That's all he said. And that was at training camp. And I remember from that moment, I was like, I am a Demarcus Robinson fan. Like, and we've seen it. He stepped in when needed to, with the injury to Tutu and just other opportunities that have kind of come his way. He is a sure-handed wide receiver that can make big plays. He has polished route running. I would say he's a different style of route runner than Puka or Kupp, but that's not a bad thing for this Rams offense to have.
Absolutely not. I mean, the guy started slow, similar to John Johnson, really getting the depth to this offense. McVay's offense is different than what the Ravens had going on over there. Obviously, a run-heavy offense. This is more pass-heavy than run-heavy, although lately it's been 50-50, which is good. But he really took Tutu's role. You've seen it after the bye week. You look at the snap share. He started to get 50+% of snaps, and then it hit like 80% in the game Tutu got hurt against the Ravens, his old team. And he hasn't let up yet. I mean, Ben Skoranek had a chance to get that number 3 spot. I think the number 3 spot was always up for grabs. Mm-hmm. And then Tutu kind of took it by the horn once Kupp was out. And nothing against Tutu. I don't think he's just gone. I think he just brings the vertical game now. Yeah. And Demarcus Robinson could bring the middle of the field, and he's a good red zone threat too. Just has a nose of getting open, and probably the hardest area of the field to get open.
Nick Talks LA has an interesting little take here. Demarcus Robinson kind of reminds me of a more polished Van Jefferson. That's an interesting thought. I hadn't thought of it that way, but that's not a bad take at all, Nick. Yeah. Huh.
That one's awesome. Yeah, this is what we wanted Van Jefferson to be.
Yeah, exactly.
He had a chance to be the wide receiver 1. Once Kupp was out, no one knew Puka would do what he would do, and Van Jefferson ends up getting traded. That's how bad he played.
Isn't that crazy to think that, like, I remember coming into this year being like, okay, Kupp and Van, and because Kupp's missing the few weeks, this is Van's chance to step up. We've been cheering Van on his entire career. Like, no hate towards Van at all. But then to, like, have him was it week 3 he got traded?
I believe so.
He was early. Like, that just seems like so long ago, but it was just a couple of months. Then Van Jefferson got traded, and I was just, blows my mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this. Okay, so we kind of highlighted some offense and defense on both sides here.
Mhm.
What about coaching? Coaching's always big. We've seen McVay outcoach teams before. Do you think Dennis Allen and Sean McVay, this is a chess match? I know that Dennis Allen's more of a defensive head coach.
Mhm.
I like what we got with McVay and Raheem Morris. What are your thoughts on the Saints coaching staff?
I think Dennis Allen, he was on the hot seat just last year, and he got another chance this year because they had Andy Dalton at quarterback, and they brought in Carr to see, like, this is it. The Saints are under, like, this is it for them. They have Carr, they have no cap space, so Dennis Allen really has to work with this roster. And the Saints overall have been a pretty competitive team for a while, but I don't think Dennis Allen really scares me when it comes to outcoaching McVay. There's a few coaches that can out scheme McVay. Shanahan obviously being one that gets you nervous. No matter what the rosters were, Shanahan always just seemed to have that upper hand on McVay, and it comes down to coaching because in football, more than any other sport, coaching really is at the forefront. And if you look at Dennis Allen, maybe he's like a bottom 12 coach, maybe number 20. McVay's top 3. So the only issue with McVay is sometimes he gets a little too confident, too pass heavy, but at the end of the day, I can't knock him because he trusts Stafford. And, you know, obviously people say he should run more, this and that, but I mean, McVay knows what he's doing. I'd rather have him coaching my team than anyone. Probably, I think Andy Reid. It's Andy Reid, Harbaugh's great, and McVay. Those are probably my 3.
Yeah, no, and I think one aspect for this game, if the Rams, if it's a close game, I do like McVay and Stafford have that relationship and trust in each other. They've been in big games. They've won big games together where Dennis Allen and Derek Carr have not, right? So like if this is a close game and it's reliant on the Saints going down the field in a 2-minute drive to win the game, I like the Rams defense to win that game. I really do. If it is a game where the Rams have to come back, I think the Rams have a shot of winning in that way too. Where I would get concerned is if this is a game that the Rams start off slow and they have to come from behind by like 3 scores in the fourth quarter. I don't know. We've seen some more big plays, especially as of late. But it's still at its core, it's still methodical offense. We have shifty wide receivers that can, kind of manipulate a defense, and McVay is really good at doing that. But I'm not sure late in the game I want to try and have to attempt an onside kick or hope and pray that the defense can generate a turnover, because at times we've seen the Rams be put in those situations, and it's very frustrating to watch.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Rams, I think right now, McVay said in his presser, he's not satisfied. I love to hear that.
Love that.
You don't want this team to get overconfident, but the thing about the Rams in the McVay era is once they get hot, they tend to stay hot. They'll go through a dry sprout like we did this year when we got to 3-6. Obviously, things happened. Games were getting called not in our favor, but you can't change it. And I love how at 3-6 we didn't quit. Now McVay took that bye week. I think he found the offense, the scheme he wanted. This year, the Rams are not afraid to bench people, take them out the starting lineup. Like, look at Durant. He barely plays now, even though I think Darion Kendrick may need to see the bench. That was horrible. Like 20-7. 20-7, and then it looks like a game, but it wasn't a game. That was with 7 minutes left. Brissett just throws it deep. Now I'm nervous because now the Saints are going to see that. Where's number 1? Attack him.
Oh, they're throwing it his way.
100%.
Like they'd be foolish not to, right?
He's
And
a hard
especially the way that Weatherspoon's been playing, right? Like you don't want to throw it his way. So yeah, I'm super nervous about DK.
Me too.
Here's the thing. I love it when DK makes a huge play and Ram fans, including myself, are like, yes, DK, we were wrong about you. And then like 12 plays later, he'll get like a huge PI call or something. You're like, no, I don't want to be right about you.
I mean, that's so true. And after he got arrested, he did have a nice little streak of games where you really didn't hear. If I don't have to hear his name, I'm happy. He's a loudmouth too, which I think he needs to calm down because he got Terry McLaurin wild up.
Yeah.
And he got burned twice. Yeah. And he's very lucky McLaurin's knee hit the ground, hit the 1 yard line, and our defense was able to play 7 plays and chew clock until they finally scored again. He's very lucky.
You know what? That doesn't get talked about enough. That was our defense played amazing in that goal line situation against Washington. Yeah. But also like the Commanders' clock management of that was horrible.
Ron Rivera for you.
Yeah, no, like we totally lucked out in that. You're 100% right that having McLaurin's knee hit the ground, that game could have been different.
And I know we talked about coaching a little bit, McVay and everything, but I do want to give flowers to Raheem Morris.
Yeah,
he's taken this young defense, the lowest paid secondary in football, and really making them play very good, a top 10 secondary right now. So Raheem Morris, I know he gets thrown under the bus all the time. I've been a big Morris guy, and every defensive coordinator has games where they get a little down on the playbook and they can't scheme up something mid-game. It happens. So I love Morris.
You know, I think you and I, when we collabed way back at the beginning of the season, I had asked you about Morris that do you think that with moving on from these star players on defense like Ramsey and Wagner and Floyd, that it actually gave Raheem Morris a lot more freedom to coach his scheme as opposed to coaching the player, if that makes sense. I think we've seen that this year.
That's a great point, Payo, because a guy like Ramsey, you can't put him in a scheme. He is the scheme.
Yeah.
Wagner, you're right, 100%. I think he was. Aaron Donald's Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
Regardless, he's going to play the middle, the ends. You're good there, but I agree 100%.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for Raheem Morris. I really do think he's going to get a chance to be a head coach next year. And like every Ram fan criticism I've heard of Raheem Morris, it's always been about certain, defensive scheme or play call. It's never been about like his personality or competency. And there's a reason why he is, as he's been with the Rams as long as he's been, and he is a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator. And I think the Rams with this young secondary, especially, so happy that we have him. So happy we have him.
Me too.
Yeah. Appreciate everyone in the chat. We got Dean in here. He's shrieking. And then we got Grandizer in here with the asking do we see a third quarter timeout from McVay? He hasn't the past 2 games. Love it.
Me too.
I love it. I love it when we have all 3 timeouts towards the end of the game.
Another thing too I want to talk about quickly is the Rams' big issue for the first half of the season was 4 quarters of football playing. I feel like they've been playing good in every quarter. I've been loving what we're seeing now is what we knew this team could be. And obviously with these young guys, it takes adjusting, but we've seen flashes in the pan. And even Byron Young last week, that rundown on Sam Howell where he got him 1 yard short, that is a guy that's going to be very, very good in the next 3 years. He's still raw. He overruns plays sometimes, but he's going to be great in 3 years.
Definitely. And even I'm really just it's so exciting to talk about guys like Byron Young or Kobe Turner or Puka Nacua or Steve Avila, Ethan Evans. And Davis Allen all of a sudden is a factor. Like it's amazing to me from one draft class. And Sheriff Joe of Ram Showcase, he said in this week's episode, he's like, I feel like 10 years from now, we're going to be looking back at the 2023 draft class and be like, man, like who was drafting? Like who's scouting these guys?
Absolutely, man. And there's still, I mean, the only miss I feel like we've had so far is probably Zach Evans, but it's a running back. So
I'm still going to defend Zach Evans on this front of it might be a McVay thing where he doesn't want, because even Kyron Williams, right, as a rookie, didn't see a whole lot of them. And I remember like people in my chat being like, "Where's Williams? We want to see Williams," right? And it would have been nice, when Kyron went down this year to see more of Zach Evans for sure. But credit to McVay, if he's not comfortable putting him in, he's like, "No, we're still developing this guy." Maybe something in the future. Next year we're talking about Zach Evans in a new light. Who knows?
yeah, his thing is just pass protection. He had one of the worst pass protection grades at Ole Miss last year. And if you don't pass protect in McVay's offense, especially 11 personnel, you don't have a fullback, so you're blocking.
Yeah.
And that's his issue.
That's a good – yeah, no, that's fair. But, it's an exciting draft class all around, and, it's so easy to get caught up in this year without thinking about the future, but I'm really excited about it, that's for sure. Grandizer brings up we'll be watching the Bennett situation in the offseason for sure. Wish him well. Not exactly sure everything that's going on, but what are your thoughts on? Okay, bring it back to this game here. We've talked about a couple of different things. What are your thoughts on special teams? Chase Blackburn under some fire from the Ramley after the debacle OT punt return against the Ravens. What are your thoughts on this special teams unit?
So that I really can't blame him. We obviously had a block in the back.
That didn't get called, yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say we would. We probably still could have lost, but to lose like that, that's just horrible.
Yeah.
Ethan Evans is turning into one of the better punters in football.
Yeah.
He has a leg, and he does our kickoffs as well.
Yeah.
The only issue I have is Lucas.
Oh, no.
Haversick. He gives me anxiety every time he goes up to kick. The guy could kick it from like 70 yards, I feel, but it always goes wide right or wide left. He's 50% from beyond 40 yards. He's missed an extra point. The Lions just released their kicker, so I think we really need to give him a look because this kid in the playoffs could really lose us a game. Like when we play the teams like the 49ers, the Eagles, Cowboys, like you're going to be in close games, and if you miss a field goal, you're done. I mean, Brett Maurer lost us a game already this year.
Yeah. And I even think of like just when we're watching and it's like a 30-yard chip shot field goal, which a professional NFL kicker should make every time.
Right.
I'm like nervous. I'm like, oh no, like is he gonna make the extra point? And then like he definitely and as you say, he's got plenty of lag. Like when he misses it good, right? Like he hasn't had any close misses. He either makes the kick or he misses it by like a large margin. And definitely you wonder because the Rams, they signed Mason Crosby, but then they stuck with Haverstick and then released Mason Crosby. On the short week, I agree. Don't try and find a new kicker on a short week. If you're gonna make a move at kicker, you tough it out against this game against the Saints, and you hope that your kicker isn't the reason you lose the game, and then reevaluate maybe on the mini buy like that. That is definitely something that we could see the Rams make a move at kicker next week. Even.
Yeah, I think, what's his name from the Lions? I don't know if Riley, I don't know what his name is, but he was 15 to 17 this year. So I think definitely bring him in. I agree. It's a short week. You can't do that now. Yeah. But when we brought in Crosby, I think it lit a fire under Haversick's ass because he kicked great against the Ravens in the rain. And then he had a 50-yarder too.
He had a great performance, yeah.
But then he just last week, he's lucky it was Washington. But I think we're just trying to give him confidence. We're up big. Let's just kick field goals instead of go for it. But we might have to start getting to the point. If this is the guy, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, we might just have to go for it. You have a better chance of getting the first down than him making a field goal past 40 yards.
And it definitely it sucks that the Rams are, this close to making the playoffs, and there's still this point in the season, there's question marks at our kicker position. It's brutal. It's brutal as a fan to go through that. It's not fun at all. I can't imagine the players. Like, can you imagine like Stafford or Donald or Cup playing their hearts out, and then it comes down to this guy that's like, oh, come on, please make this chip shot field goal.
He gets me nervous.
Oh, every time. I have some Tums ready. Just
wow.
That's my Haverstick Tums right there.
I like it. I don't blame you. Sometimes I don't even watch. I walk away from the TV. I'll tell my wife, "Can you just let me know if you miss it or not?" Like, I just can't watch it. I don't know why. It gets nervous, man.
Do your kids be like, "Daddy, what's wrong?" Like,
yeah. Oh, well, my son does. Why he's like at the age now where he can't sit still for a whole game.
Yeah.
It's probably good watching games with me. It's probably better that way.
Oh, you're raising them right,
Yeah, exactly. Got to raise Ramley, dude.
Yeah, raising Ramley. Well, Ramsoholic, I know I gotta get back to work, but I'm glad we could hop on and have this short little stream here. Everyone watching, make sure if you're not subscribed to Ramsoholic and you want great Rams content, make sure to go give him a sub. And I'll make sure that this is available for replay on his channel. But Ramsoholic, this has been awesome, man. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so you could find me Ramsoholic on YouTube, on Twitter. At Shay tweeted that, but I think if you type in Ramsoholic, it'll pop up. And then my TikTok, I just started that a couple weeks ago. Ramsoholic, nice and simple. I do have a score prediction quickly too. Someone said 27-17. I'm pretty close to that. I have it 30-20.
Okay.
And I think they'll score late. They beat us by 7 last year. And we'll beat them by 10 this year.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on, Payo, though. I appreciate it as always.
My pleasure, man. And as always, everyone, go Rams, horns up, and peace out. Let's go Rams.
Let's go.
We'll see you at the game, everybody.
Yes, sir.